All right, welcome everybody to the group. Week 9. Super excited everyone's here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. We're supposed to do a prayer, but we'll go ahead and skip that one. And then we'll go to number 3, and we'll do a brief synopsis, which is the case describes the dilemma of a marketing manager, Thomas Green, who, after being rapidly promoted to a new position, is harshly criticized by his boss. Green and his new boss disagree on work styles and market projections. Green believes that sales goals set by his boss are based on creative accounting and grossly overstate the current market environment. A mood of silence conflict develops between Green and his boss, and Green is concerned that his boss is building a case to fire him. And Green's situation is one in which his failure to adapt his work style and fully understand the demands and boundaries of his new position have led to his discharge. So what do you guys think are the key issues in this case? There's quite a few. I found a couple, but what do you guys think?
There's a lot of issues. Let's see, the key issues.
Maybe the top 6 or 8 or whatever you guys thought was. I'll do one, and then we'll start from there. So one I found was, what's this guy's name? Thomas. Thomas was a sales rep, and then he got put into a management position, which doesn't always work. Sales reps aren't always very good at managing people. They're really good at managing their accounts because their accounts are attached to money. But a lot of the times when, like, I'm a sales rep, so I'm really good at managing, like, accounts because the accounts are always attached to dollar signs. But when people are put into the play, it becomes a lot harder for me, for example, to manage people because those people sometimes aren't working at the level that I think that they should be working at. And so so I struggle with managing a group of people who aren't living up to what I expect people to do. So that's kind of what I see in Thomas. Sam is kind of the same thing where he's put into the position where he's supposed to perform, but just like the summary said, he's not adapting at all to what he's supposed to do in his new role, and he's not just a salesman anymore. He's a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, the people under him said that he was great selling the clients on the ideas, but because he was a salesman, but he didn't do well with any of the data.
Sorry, I have a visitor.
Hi.
Oh, baby.
He's here. Sorry.
That's cute. No, you're good. So anyway, yeah, just that's what you were saying. But
yeah, and he never had any formal managerial training.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed is that I didn't think that he should have been hired in the first place by I can't remember their names. I read it yesterday and I had the worst memory.
Sharon hired him.
Yeah. So because he, the person that he replaced had been working in the industry and had done all of that stuff for many, many years and had a lot of experience. And it said that he just didn't know anything. And he was kind of this rookie and got put in that spot.
Well, the person he replaced was Frank, right?
Yeah, he replaced Frank. But reading about Frank's credentials and experience, he had a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, they also mentioned they also gave their ages, which he's like about 12 or 15 years younger than the other.
Yeah, quite a bit younger.
He's
not following instructions according to emails. Like he has been asked for reports and following up, and he's not doing that. He's just like, he has great ideas and everything, but he doesn't keep track of all the things he does. He doesn't give the importance to that.
He doesn't follow through. Yeah.
I think one of the so far. There's both of those are in my list here. I think another one is that he's relying too much on. Whoops.
Who is calling?
Someone's ringing.
Someone is calling. Okay.
That's not me.
I don't know what's going on. I think he's relying too much on Sharon, the vice president's support. He's kind of like the golden boy in her eyes, I guess, and he's not really listening to his own boss. I mean, my rule when I go into a job is make my boss look good, and he's not doing that.
Yeah, and she's kind of thrown him a bone too and said, you know, here you go, this is what you need to do, and helped guide him through it, and he still wasn't responsive to it. He still didn't get those reports and other things turned in.
And
Yeah.
and she did warn him.
Right.
It was kind of that's always one thing that always upsets me about sales reps is they're always like very reachable when they need to be, but when they don't need to be, it's like finding someone in New York without a map. Like like they don't, for some reason their phone doesn't work all of a sudden, or for some reason they can't answer the phone because they're so busy, or there's always like that. You know, he has the 10,000 excuses. Oh, I was in this place, but then I had to go to this place, so I couldn't answer the phone as I sat in the airport and waited for my plane to come, or you know, as
Right.
I was driving in the taxi, or as I rented a car, I didn't have time to pick up and answer your phone call. So it just seems like there's a lot of excuses that he's giving and doesn't want to do the work at all.
Right.
And I
Well, I
thought
think he's doing the work the way he thinks he should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another thing that I noticed too, another issue that I put on was that he kind of has the wrong motivation. He is working to try to impress the right people to get that promotion as quickly as possible, and not concerned so much about the well-being of the company or his team or how they're performing or anything like that. He just wants to make sure he's looking good.
So the next question is, if you were Shannon McDonald, which is the guy or girl, I don't know which one it is, the person. If you were that person, would you have hired Thomas Green? Why or why not? I'm supposed to assign roles so that we can have a debate, but we can just go ahead and give pros and cons.
I forget what was the reason. What was
That's
the
too
reason
much to
to
know.
hire him anyway?
Because he was really good. He made a good case.
Yeah, he was.
college.
28-year-olds are fantastic.
Well, she liked his energy. She talked about that, his energy and his success as a salesperson. And he knew
Yeah, but
when to rub elbows with the right people.
he needed more training if she wanted to give that job to him,
Yeah.
and she knew that his boss wouldn't be happy with him. Like, so he needed more training to be in that position. He wasn't ready.
And she liked that they went to the same college.
Oh, is that what you said?
Yeah, they bonded over their college. That's why she liked him. They bonded.
Well, that's not a good sign. I mean, I think she definitely should have involved Frank in the decision.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Or did it say that Frank wanted someone else, and then Shannon went with the Thomas guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
Frank had someone else
Yeah.
in mind.
It seems kind of bizarre that they would have him skip a step. Like, you can be a really good salesman, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be a good leader 2 steps up or 1 step up.
Right.
And they kind of like jump that level that's below, like a normal, whatever he is, normal market specialist, all the way up to a senior. So that kind of shows that like Shannon's not, maybe she got kind of infatuated with the idea of someone from her college and this young guy who's going to, you know, bring this energy into the thing, but then has no clue how to manage people or answer the phone.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my pet peeve in life is people don't answer their phone. It says, I know you have your phone. You're on Instagram and Facebook all the time. You have your phone. You can answer it. So what about Frank Davis? What does he value, and what is the end goal? Wait, what is the end goal he is after?
Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Do you think he's trying to get rid of him?
I think so.
No, I think, he's picking a lot on him, but he expects a lot more from him, and he is not I don't know, he's not giving what he expects.
Yeah, I thought the feedback that he gave, why can't I remember their names? Green, like, was really constructive. It was like, these are the things that I've noticed. These are the things that I would like you to work on. And he just ignored him for the entire time that he worked there. He didn't work on developing the data or the marketing stuff. And he had really specific concerns. They weren't just arbitrary, like, oh, I just don't like you. he had really specific means of improvement, and he was just ignored. And so I think that he wanted him to do his job.
No, I think you're both right. I mean, yeah, it's not just a matter of maybe him feeling like he wasn't part of the decision, but no, you're right. And, he did lay out everything, his expectations very clearly. It's that type of documentation that made me say that, he's trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, plus he made that documentation though, because then he could come back and say, hey, you didn't do these very simple tasks. Like, how easy is it to fill out a calendar to say, oh, I'm here today. Oh, my schedule changed. Let me go in and take 30 seconds to say, oh, I'm no longer in this city. I'm in this city. Like, clearly that's a big deal. Like, his boss wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't a super important part of the job, is to make sure the boss knows where everyone's at, to make sure they're not just loafing around or just, doing nothing. So, it's so easy just to be like, oh, I'm in here. Oh, no, I'm not here anymore. I'm over here in this city. So it just seems like he's kind of just winging it. And, I'm a young gun. I know what to do. I don't need to follow these rules and submit these reports.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think,
go ahead, Monica.
yeah, I think Thomas Green, he had good motives to do the things he was doing. Like, he was working, but that's the problem. Like, that was the big thing. If you're not because he works in different cities, and someone needs to be accountable of the money he's spending and everything he's doing. He cannot just go and jump to a different city and then say, I decided this is better. As you said, he needs to take time to report what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think what Frank Davis was asking him was unreasonable. Maybe his delivery was a little bit harsh, but I think that he's reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. Frank is totally justified in his demands or expectations.
So what do you guys think about Thomas Green? What does he value, and what is the end goal that he's after?
He's about notoriety. He wants to get noticed and get promoted as quickly as possible.
Where did that come out of? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It was
I
a
missed
few,
that.
it was a few places. The first one I noted was on page 2, second paragraph up from the bottom. It talks about how he had told a friend, he said, I wanted to come in and dazzle them at dynamic displays. And then he said, I made it my mission to get noticed immediately.
Oh, okay. That was up to the position he's at now.
Right.
He's
And then
of a next position, is he?
And then I think he is. I think there were a couple of other places
Okay.
that I'm not sure if I highlighted, but I think
He
that
got a 50% raise and coming there, so he wanted to justify being paid so much. And I totally agree with you, Andrea, that's what he wanted. He was after money, and he wanted to be noticed as the star guy.
he had great enthusiasm. It was just improperly placed or ineffectively placed. Maybe let me say it that way.
Well, I think, to me, it doesn't matter how enthusiastic you are in a company. If you're not working for the company's goals and you're working for your own, it doesn't matter. So he was doing really great with the sales part, but not doing really great with his job.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't benefit the company. It doesn't benefit his boss. He may as well not even be there if he's not working for the goal of the company.
So with this, with what you just said, how do the actions of Thomas Green differ from the expectations of Frank Davis?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think that Frank is focused on the company. And, we read in that 5 Dysfunctions book, that you can have ego and you can have that, but you need to place the, what's the word? I don't know, the company above yourself.
The emphasis. Maybe the emphasis.
You need to have that be in place. And so I didn't really know that Frank Davis had a huge ego, but he was focused on what was good for the company. And Thomas Green, is that his name? He
Mhm.
was just focused on him and how I'm going to impress people, what I feel is the best way to go about this, it was all about him. There's no I in team. I'm just kidding.
There is incorporation. So, so kind of, I thought that Frank, he kind of put the expectation out there very clearly of what was expected, and even Shannon did as well. Shannon said, "I expect a lot from you. I have high expectations that you're going to succeed, but you need to make sure that you work really closely with Frank." And it kind of seemed like Thomas was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know what to do. I'll wow and dazzle everybody with how good I am at selling, and kind of make up for my lack of attention to the small details, like his new role requires, rather than doing maybe a little less selling and more paperwork, which kind of is the way it works. As you go up the ladder of those executive roles, your role switches. Like as a sales rep, it's like all selling, very little paperwork. But then as you go up, it's like lots of paperwork, very little selling. And you mostly deal with like high clients and maybe sell 10% of the time and do paperwork 50% of the time. Like I'm pretty sure Shannon, the VP, does very little selling, maybe a little bit, but then her role isn't that. I feel like Thomas just really isn't accepting his role, his new role. He just kind of wants to stay in that role he has as a sales rep.
Yeah, he needs to kind of shift his focus, and he hasn't made that yet.
Yes.
What about those growth predictions? Maybe that's what's motivating his acts out in the field. I mean, they're pretty high expectations. They didn't say whether it was higher than other divisions or anything. They didn't give a comparison. But I mean, maybe he's thinking, well, in order to achieve this, I need to get out there and stay busy at what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be hard to come in. I think that's a really tricky situation to come in to reach for somebody else's goals. That would be a hard one, especially he's brand new in the position. He doesn't really even know exactly what to expect as far as the numbers yet. And here he is thrown in and, has to complete somebody else's goals. That's hard.
And he did feel like they were, I can't remember the term he used, but that they were inflated or something, and that they weren't based on sound logic or something. But instead, he just kind of, in the meeting, he just kind of was angry about that and was like, no, that's unreasonable. And no matter how many times his boss said, well, I want the numbers, he never approached that in a helpful way. He never said, okay, this is why I think this. It was just like, you're stupid.
Yeah, and he did that around the office too. I mean, I don't know about calling him stupid, but he basically contested the numbers, not only in the meeting, but to other people.
Yeah, so to me, that's like, you're just bad-mouthing. But, if you really feel that way, there's, like a 4-year-old way to handle it. Like, oh, he's so dumb. He doesn't know what he's doing. Or, be an adult and say, okay, this is why I think that these numbers won't work. But he never did that. And he never did it in a positive way. He was always negative. I didn't like him at all.
Really? We couldn't tell.
Plus, he could have very easily, he could have just accepted the numbers in the meeting and said, "Oh yeah, great, that sounds good, sweet."
Yeah. Well, I think we can kind of blame that on McDonald, because she went into his office like the day after he started that new position and told him, you're coming into a really hard situation here because you're going to have to meet Frank Davis's goals. And so I think if she would have presented it in a different way, maybe he went into it feeling that there was no way he could do it, or feeling almost defeated already, or I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how to.
But he could have taken that number, like 10%, we're 10% growth.
Yeah.
And he could have been like, "Oh, cool, that's fine. We can do that, no problem." And then behind closed doors, been like, "Oh, yeah, that's not possible. Like, I don't even know where to start to get that number." So he could have, publicly praised him
with data, which is what his boss was always asking him for. His boss was
it's just like Michael said. Michael's like, you always want to praise your boss, make your boss look good, and then in turn, your boss makes life easy for you, so you don't have to deal with headache. If he in public would have been like, "Oh, that's fantastic, great goal, great, yeah, 10%, let's do 20%, like let's double it." But then in public would have been like, stop. We can't do 10%. I can do like 6%, 8%, but I can't do 10. But then his boss would have been like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to him being there for himself and trying to impress everybody. He wanted to make sure that all the people knew before his team failed at this goal that he was sure they were going to fail at. He wanted to make sure everybody else knew that this was unattainable. So he was kind of setting himself up to look good from the beginning.
So who is mostly at fault for the state of the current situation of the three people in the case study? Thomas, Frank, or Shannon?
Thomas.
I think Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas.
You don't think Shannon? Shannon hired him, though.
Yeah, I think Shannon has a great responsibility.
Shannon's the boss.
But he had the opportunity to prove himself.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
he had several meetings with his boss that addressed very specific things, not like, I expect more from you, but I expect this, this, and this. And he didn't do it.
Yeah, but Shannon hired him knowing that he hadn't, that he didn't have the experience for the position, that Frank wouldn't like him.
But how much experience do you need to, like, work on
in the reading,
specific things that your boss gives you and says, I need you to report where you are to me. You don't need experience.
But it's just that he was used to do the things in a different way because he wasn't a manager, and now that he's a manager, know how to, he doesn't think that is important, but because he doesn't have the training and the experience.
Well, when you're promoted or given a different position, I mean, you can't walk into it and say, okay, this is how I've always done things, so this is how it's going to be. You have to know that you're working in a different office with different people now, and there's going to be some adjustments that you have to make, and you have to rise up and you have to figure out what needs to be done. You have to ask questions. If you don't know, then you ask questions and you do your research. And, I don't think, although maybe he wasn't the right one to promote, I don't place the blame on McDonald.
Because he had the opportunity, I haven't had a job outside of my house for 18 years. And I could say, if my boss was like, you need to fix this, this, and this, I wouldn't give her the middle finger. I would just be like,
you're going to figure it out and do it.
You might give her the middle finger.
You need to do this. To me, that's not managerial training. That's being a skilled worker or, competent person.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd be surprised.
So, I know that there are incompetent people out there, but
You should come work at FedEx for a week.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I was thinking? I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I pipe in? Yeah. I was just thinking that after the first letter, the email that gave him, like you said, very explicit directions as to what the expectations were. I mean, he should have just gotten out of the field almost and just sat in the office, interacted with his boss, giving him what he wants, and then letting the sales reps that are under him do the job. I mean, in that way, he's almost insulated from the fact that he can't make 10%. But the boss, Frank's going to see him doing everyday work in the office, knocking on his door, saying, what do you need today? Instead of going traveling around like he was a sales rep.
Well, and that's his position now. His position is to manage the sales reps. It's not to be a sales rep. And I mean, it's good that he's hands-on, but he probably needs to be a little less hands-on with the sales reps and a little more proactive about working on the management part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting this idea from you guys. From what you're saying, that's going to be one of my proposals, one of the solutions.
There you go.
Perfect.
So the next,
I don't even know what the other solutions would be other than, step up and be
Figure it out.
Worker.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess one of the solutions is, leave your job, but wherever you go, there you are. And you're still going to be an incompetent manager if you go somewhere else.
Because he wanted this. He was pushing himself to get hired into a promotion, get promoted and get a new position. He really wanted this. So if he wasn't willing to step up and take it, he shouldn't have put himself out there so much to be promoted at that time.
Yeah.
all right.
We lost Gavin again.
Oh, sorry. I have an upset baby outside.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so what does the power and office? This is a new section, new topic. We're switching gears here. What does power and office politics? How do they come into play in this situation?
In this situation?
Yeah.
How about honor power? I don't know that this falls into office politics, but I think Thomas needs to honor the power that his boss has over him.
Yeah, give him respect.
Yeah, respect. That's a good word.
All right. That's good. That was a good answer.
I mean, do you guys think that this is office politics?
I think there was a little between Shannon and Thomas.
Oh, going back there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she kind of like hired him because they were buddies and he was impressive over dinner and that kind of thing, which is fine. This is the issue. Is any sales rep can be impressive over dinner. That's their job, is to be impressive over dinner. Like that's why they're hired. They're hired to impress people while they eat food and go golfing and go to basketball games and these things. But then when it comes to managing people, that's a totally different skill set. That's a skill set that it takes like years to figure out and to train. And you can be a really good manager and a terrible sales rep, or a really good sales rep and clearly in this case a terrible manager. So sometimes even if you're really good, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at managing people. So that's why I think there might be something else going on between Shannon and Thomas. Maybe she liked the way he looked or something.
Well, he was 28. He was young.
Yeah.
Booyah.
So I agree that was a little bit of office politics there, but I think beyond that, I don't think the issue between Thomas Green and Frank is so much office politics.
Right.
Maybe very little of it there, but I think he's just annoyed that this guy's not doing the job. And I mean, I guess is kind of probably saying, I told you so right now, but so maybe he went into it a little bit with the wrong attitude.
The only thing that I noticed that could be was that there was the second email that Green wasn't copied on. The first one he was.
Oh, that's right.
But he doesn't need to be copied on those emails, though. That's personal information.
No, that's not what I was talking about. But then somebody sent him the copy.
Oh, that's
yes, that's
that
right.
was shaky.
Yeah.
But you know what? See, I
was like, oh, sneaky.
Yeah, that was very sneaky. And I actually think that Frank should have emailed. I think he should have addressed this again with Green. I don't think he should have just gone like that fast to go straight to Shannon McDonald. I think he should have kept trying to work it out with Green. So you're right. Okay, now that we're talking about it, there was office politics.
But those emails cover Frank. So Frank set that goal, and if he didn't follow up with his emails, and then all of a sudden Thomas doesn't hit those numbers, then they're like, okay, Frank, what did you do to make sure that Frank hit those numbers? And he can say, oh, I did, A through Z, and I got 0 response. I had follow-up meetings. I did all these things, and Thomas was completely, complacent, never responded, did X, Y, Z. And so, it's not on me for failing. It's on Thomas. I tried my best. I did everything I could. And then,
With Michelle Jones, that she was doing what he expected and Thomas wasn't.
Yes. And I think it's okay that he didn't CC Thomas, because he's basically putting the whole problem, with all the documentation into Sharon's lap and saying, okay, now you have to do something.
Yeah.
You hired him. This is your mess.
Right.
Exactly. Those dang 28-year-olds. Idiots. Okay.
Is that how old you are, Gavin?
No, I'm not 20. I'm 30.
Hey.
Big difference. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, what are each of their conflict styles for each 3 people? And then there's 4 conflict styles: competition, compromise, avoidance, and collaboration. So
Thomas is avoidance.
Okay, so
Okay.
just to clarify, do you feel like we are missing curriculum for this class?
Yeah. What do you guys have? Wait, what do you guys have in this class? This is like the easiest class I've ever taken, I think, in my whole
I
life.
love it, but semester, but that question feels like way out of the blue. We haven't studied anything about conflict styles or.
It gives a definition of each.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask you what the 4 were so I could write them down, because I didn't
Okay.
see
Yeah, I need to write.
Okay, ready? Here we go. First one is competition. And it's defined as characterized by aggressive and uncooperative behavior.
Ooh, that qualifies for Thomas too, right?
Yeah.
The next one is compromise. And each party gives up something to gain something.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Which is
Oh.
no sales rep ever in the history of the plant.
But I think management, it goes both ways.
Uh-huh.
Because everyone has to give something.
That's
in
true.
order to compromise.
Yeah.
And then avoidance, which is disassociation, ignoring, and discounting the conflict.
Which he definitely does.
Yeah. And then the last one is collaboration, which is working together to find a common resolution.
Well,
So
that's
let's-
what Frank and Sharon are trying to do.
So let's go through each one. So do you think Thomas, of the four, what do you think his conflict style is?
I think he's avoidance and
Avoidance.
competition.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
Oh, yeah, so absolutely. Avoidance
All right.
competition.
And then what do you guys think about Frank Davis?
I think it's collaborative.
Yeah, I'd
I think
agree.
he's compromised too. He's trying to, almost feel like he's trying to help the Thomas do better by giving him like, okay, this is what you're doing. If you just do these simple things, everything will work out. Like I
Then you're
gave
all
you a
good.
huge number. You know, don't stress
Yeah,
out
but-
about it.
What was he giving? He was asking, but what was he giving? What was his part in that though?
He gave him that number. He gave him the 10%. He said, if you hit this, let me show you how to do it. If you hit this number, we want you to do 10%.
That's not giving up something, that's asking something still.
Well, he's giving up his time.
I
And
don't think he was collaborative.
but think
Like,
about this:
I
if
think
he
they were
gave,
compromised.
if he were to give him a number, like let's say he gave him 10%, or what you did, so then essentially he's because he was in that role before, which means somehow he saw potential for that growth. So I don't know if he did this, but Frank seems like he has his head on his shoulders a little bit. So he probably went to him and said, "Okay, this is you can get 10%. This is how you can do it, X, Y, and Z." And then Thomas is like, "Yeah, I'm not okay. Thanks, great. You know, thumbs up to you. Have a great day."
To me, I think he was collaborative, but I don't think he was, I didn't think he compromised. A compromise would be like, okay, maybe those numbers are a little high. What if we went down to 8
That's true.
and you still do those?
Yeah, that's true. He just stayed firm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's more collaborative than.
Yeah.
I don't see the tendency to compromise.
But in that role, you kind of have to be. What is that word we just talked about?
Bossy.
Yeah, you have to be bossy. You're a boss. I mean, if you don't get it done, who's going to get it done if you don't get it done? No one. You kind of have to be, you know, the thorn in everyone's side.
I agree, but I think there's something to be said about listening to and creating an environment where your employees can say, you know, just because you're the boss doesn't mean that you're always going to be 100% right. And so creating an environment for your team to say, hey, listen, I don't think that this is right, but this is why I don't think it's right, and not be, you know, confrontational about it, and having a boss being able to be like, okay, you know, let's consider that.
Mhm. And then what do you guys think about Shannon? You think
That's a tough one.
which one of the four?
That's a tough one.
Oh,
I feel like she was a non-entity.
yeah. Uh,
You
She
would,
was a
you would
dictator.
hope she would introduce compromise, but I don't know.
I don't know if we have enough info about her.
Yeah,
I
she
like
just kind of
avoidance.
intervened and was like, oh, you do this, and I'm going to hire him, and then,
That's why I think avoidance, because she just put him there and
oh, that's true. She was avoidant.
yeah, that's true. Instead of working with him, she just like laid down the law and then that's it. No talk about it, no discussion.
Mhm. All right, so the next question is, it's a little vague. What should he do now? So I don't know who he is. It doesn't say who he is.
I think it's
Probably
Tom.
Thomas Green.
So what should Thomas do now? We're supposed to keep it. I'm supposed to keep it academic and stay away from negativeness. So
Well, he needs to step up his game and
Let's keep it
fulfill his
academic.
role as manager. That's what he should do.
Step up his game and become the manager that they need him to be.
I
Exactly.
think maybe step off of his sales game and become
Yeah.
that manager thing. Because if if he's supposed to be if he loves sales that much, he should just be like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I just go back to being a sales rep. Which the company is, if he's sucking at it, the company will be like, oh yeah, sure, see ya, get out of here, take a hike. Which they'd easily do, because if he was really good, then why wouldn't they want him as a sales rep?
Yeah, like if he was really good at it, which everybody said he was, even the people who worked under him as sales reps, he would be, afforded a lot of praise for that, and he would be contributing to the company, and they would appreciate that,
So it sounds like he first needs to decide, does he want to be a manager or does he want to go back to being sales rep? He needs to decide which one he's going to do, and that needs to be his focus.
Are you guys familiar with the Peter Principle?
No.
No.
That everyone is promoted to their level of incompetence, because then you don't get promoted anymore.
Why is it called the Peter Principle?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Is it Peter Pan or Peter the Apostle? Which Peter are we talking about?
I don't know.
The
I don't know.
eater, the pumpkin eater.
I think that's what Thomas is. I mean, he just got promoted to a position he's not qualified for. He's incompetent at.
I like it. The Peter Principle.
Yeah, Google it.
I thought it was gonna be like an acronym, like people eat terrible, whatever. Sorry, so let's keep this academic. Okay. So, how can he salvage the situation?
Oh, I just wanted to add. What he needs to do immediately, I think, is address what he's going to say to Sharon and how he's going to address those complaints, because his job's on the line at this point.
Yeah, I felt like he ignored that email too. He was just concerned about the email, but he hasn't answered.
Yeah.
It seems
So
like
he
it seems kind of like a weak salesman too. He like gives up really easily. Like sales is like getting rejected 10,000 times. Then the one time you're like, yeah, I got it. All right. Okay, 10,000 more rejections.
Well, he
But, like,
sold.
He was really good at it, though.
Yeah, but he's not good at selling to his boss though. You gotta
He
be.
sold himself to Sharon.
Yeah, but then he just gave up. Like, oh, my boss doesn't like me. Darn it. Oh, that's it. I should look for another job. I can change everything, even though I'm making, a good salary and blah, 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 blah. Just seems like he kind of, when things got tough, he just kind of threw in the towel.
He needs to be a salesman, or like Andrea said, decide if he really wants to be in this other position, because he wasn't even doing the other side of that. He was only doing sales. And so if he really wants to, I don't think he ever even attempted to do it.
All right, so the next question is an interesting one. We're supposed to role play, and
No.
I'm the leader, so I can't participate in this part. So what can...
Does Ed really say that? Is that really the rule?
That's the rule. No, it's not. What can he do to repair the relationship with Davis? And it says role playing could be a good way to demonstrate this.
Well, he can start by not avoiding the issue and dealing with it.
A brat face.
What?
I'm sorry I was such a brat face. I will work on it.
That'd be a good language to use too.
Well,
Yeah,
you need
Compromising.
to use the business language.
Yeah, but no, he definitely needs to have a conversation with him, and he needs to be willing to change.
Yes.
So you think he should have like a meeting with him, or should he just kind of try to push the reset button?
I don't think it has to be like a formal, hey, let's meet at such and such time, but maybe over lunch, or just stop by Davis's office and say, you know what, I need to fix this. I screwed up. And I'm willing for you to help me.
Meeting, though, to say, you need to own up to it.
Yeah.
Say, I ignored everything that you said, and I'm really going to try and work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to acknowledge all the mistakes he had made and then start over.
I think he needs to close the loop with Frank, because he's not even supposed to know what's in that second email. So he needs to go to Frank and say, Sharon has invited me, or called me to the carpet, as they say, has invited me to her office to discuss our issues. Can you fill me in, or and try to make some amends, or try to get some something going between he and Frank, because then he could go into the office with Sharon and say, yes, I've talked to Frank about this, and here's what we're going to do. So I think he should try to resolve it with Frank first.
Definitely before his meeting with McDonald. Yeah.
He's not even supposed to have that email. He's not supposed to have that information.
Just pretend he doesn't have it and keep going.
Yeah.
It's kind of because if you go in there and be like, "Hey, I got this email,"
Right. Then it's a whole
Like,
other issue.
whoa, how did you get this email? Then there's a huge
He
issue.
has,
Yeah.
he has other emails and he has other meetings where it can't have been a surprise that his boss didn't enjoy him.
Mhm.
So go
Right.
from there.
All right, so the applicant. Now we're supposed to move on to another section. How can I don't know what this means, but maybe you guys do. How can managing up be applied at work?
Managing up. What's that?
I don't know.
I'm going to Google it.
No.
And then while she's
Like being
while,
promoted to manager.
I think that's what it might mean, like fulfilling your role, kind of a thing.
Manager? I mean, I put a cowboy up, but that has to do with the way you dress.
I'm sure it's something like that.
All right, here it is. Are you ready for this awesome definition? It means being the most effective employee you can be, creating value for your boss and your company. That's why the best path to a healthy relationship begins and ends with doing your job and doing it well.
There we go.
Wow, that's managing up.
Managing up. So
Okay.
how can managing up, which is basically just doing your job, be applied at work? Just kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, do your best.
Bring
It's
your
kinda
A
seems like-
every day.
It kind of seems like the last two case studies are similar, where one employee is just kind of lame and they just kind of gave up and weren't willing to put in the work that's required to break through that. Because there's always a learning curve, with anything. And the last two,
Yeah, but last time it made her to be like the hero.
what? What'd you say?
The last case study, it made her more like the hero.
Oh yeah.
I thought she was passive, but like her end was like, oh, both of those bad people quit, and she was promoted, and everyone loved her.
But what about how does managing up in this situation relate?
I think that it's because he's not doing what he's expected. He's doing what he wants. So he just has to do what he's expected to do, and then he's managing it. He's doing his job.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are the principles of power within an organizational structure?
What? Like,
I
do you
just
really
read-
read this? So, like a booklet or something, a page, a video? I don't know.
I'm just reading the
Principles of power, huh?
principles of power.
Power. What does that even mean? I hate business talk. Okay.
And then we'll go through these next couple because they're all kind of similar. How do office politics come into play? Oh, we kind of already read that
We
one.
kind of already talked about that one.
Yeah. How can someone be proactive in managing office politics? That's kind of that's a good one. So how do you manage office politics? And then I can relate this to a family. If you have a favorite child, how do you not have a favorite child? 'Cause that's kind of the same thing as office politics. It's like the same thing.
How can you have a favorite child?
So how do you avoid office politics? Now my experience with this has been horrible because I wrote about that in FedEx last week on the discussion board. Where like a FedEx thing.
Tell us about your kids.
What's up?
I thought you were going to tell us about your kids.
Oh no, my kids are great. I like my kids. So no, just at my work at FedEx, there was like so many office politics. Like if you didn't share the same beliefs, or if you were considered like a political party over another, then there was always like cliques that would join, or they would seem that you joined that clique, and everybody would like section off. And so like even I was just completely nothing, just bipartisan everything. Didn't associate with anyone, didn't claim, didn't talk about any politics, but I was like sectioned into these groups, and so I had to like, nope, not part of that group, not part of that group. I'm my own group. I just want to go home. Can I go home? Please let me go home. So, that was kind of my experience. What's your guys' experience with it? And if you haven't ever worked in 18 years, then maybe with
I'm lame.
that's all right. That's fine. What are some of like maybe church things that were those? Because church can be a little cliquey sometimes. If you live in, there could be some cliques there that you might not get invited to or something.
I know. Well, I live in Utah County, which is really good.
I'm a teacher, music teacher, so when I was in one job, like you have to follow the lead. Like even if you're a good teacher, you have to follow the rules of the school, because I went to different school and they didn't want all the things that I was doing that were good, but they wanted something different. So you have to change and do what your boss wants. Like, I don't know, but that's how it works. If they're happy, then they let you do your job.
Yeah. I could tell you some stories. I don't know if I want to share too much, but I think it's important I think two things came to mind. It's important not to react. In other words, you're hearing something. It's almost like gossip. You're hearing something that somebody said, maybe about you, about somebody else, or whatever. So I think the key is to not react, find out what the facts are. The other thing that occurred to me was defend yourself and be prepared. Always be prepared to defend yourself, that you made the decisions you made because of this and that and the other thing. Because I've been called to the carpet once. I mean, actually, the whole group came in, and it was really just, two workers, the lead, the checker, because we do drawings, and the manager who was concerned about schedule. So I basically got thrown under the bus, because they said that I didn't, I overlooked something, in my drawing. So I designed something, I produced the drawings, I give it to the checker sat on it for 4 weeks. I did it like in a week. He sits on it for 4 weeks, and then we're in the office talking about how this is behind schedule. Excuse me, but it only took me a week to do it. And okay, I did have that oversight, and it also took me 1 day to fix the oversight. I was back in the checker, and then he sat on it for another week. So I mean, it was kind of like you have to be ready to defend yourself. To say, here's what I did, and admit that you're wrong if you are, and then here's the solution.
When you were prepared to defend yourself, though, did you do it in a constructive manner? Or did you like lose your cool and call out whoever was to blame, or did you just like remain calm?
No, I didn't. I didn't mention the fact that he sat on it for 4 weeks, and I didn't use that terminology.
Oh,
but no, my terminology that I'm
Business speak.
What's that?
You use business speak.
You have to be very professional. You have to maintain your professionalism. I'm only talking to my classmates now, but be prepared to, know what you did and why you did it, and that has happened more than once. To where you have to defend what you did.
all right. The next question is, I think there was a typo. Are there any connections between this case and this week's reading assignment? Oh, no, that's not a typo. So the reading assignment in the book, The Speed of Trust.
No, it's the 5 dysfunctions.
The 5
of
dysfunctions.
Oh, yep, that one. Are there any connections?
I can't remember. Let me see.
I have
Well,
read his week's assignment.
kind of, because it's talking about recognizing your weak. Remember that she had them recognize their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. And I think that if Thomas Green did that he could realize, what he needs to work on.
Right.
What's strange? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it also talked about the ego of the self versus, what's doing the best, but what's going to benefit the company the most, and having that goal placed over your individual ego. That's where I got that.
And then what gospel connections are pertinent in these examples between the book and the case study this week?
Don't participate in gossip.
There you go. I like it.
Good one.
We'll conclude here. I have a funny FedEx gossip thing. And it's about me, so I can tell it. So it's not that big of a deal. It's not spreading more gossip. So I blew out my shoulder when I was like 27 at FedEx. And I was out for like 6 months. And when I came back, the rumor was I had been in a car accident and I had died. and people had Facebooked me, and I just ignored the Facebook post because it was like, "Hey, we're so sorry." It was addressing my wife. "Hey, we're so sorry for your loss. We hope the best for you in the future, to you and your kids."
And you didn't.
And I was
address
like,
that?
"What are they talking about?" That was weird because I'm a little more goofy than the average person. So I thought, oh, they're just playing a joke on me or something dumb. And I walk in and some guy's like, "You're not dead?" I'm like, "What? Dead? What are you talking about?" And he was like, "I thought you died in a car accident." I was like, "What? No, I just blew out my shoulder." And they're like, "Oh, whoa. Everyone thinks you're dead." And everyone was like, "Oh, we're so excited you're not dead." I hate this
They're
place.
all, it's a
All right.
miracle.
Thanks, guys.
You should have had a resurrection moment.
I know. I should have just never come back.
That actually happened with my cat. I had a gray cat. I leave the house. No, seriously. I leave the house, and down at the corner is a gray cat smashed in the road. And I go, "Oh, geez, poor buddy. My buddy's dead, And so I pick him up. I bring him home. I'm ready to put him in a plastic bag in the garbage or whatever. And my cat comes out of the bushes, meow. And I had this like resurrection moment. I said, "Oh my God, my cat's alive."
What did you do with the dead cat?
My father-in-law, he buried somebody's cat. And then that was hard because he thought.
I don't know
That's
whose
pretty
cat it
good.
was. And I just kept him in the garbage.
All right.
That's
We'll end
funny.
it. We can all go.
So
Pretty
our
hilarious,
lesson learned
though.
today is to avoid dead cats.
Yeah. So Gibbs, what happens later? So
Okay.
after McDonald's February 5th, 2008 email, Green took the offensive against his boss. He crafted a series of what's that word? Emails, reports, and emails, reports, and projects, and exposed inaccuracies in creative forecasting that Davis had done. The data enabled Green to build some alliances with other marketing personnel who used the data to ultimately side with him. On April 4th, it was announced that Frank Davis will be moved laterally to an undefined special project. However, Green's tactics were seen as overly brutal by many in the company, and although he won the battle against his boss, his career was forever harmed. McDonald distanced himself from him, and by July 2008, Green announced he was resigning from his position to pursue full-time studies for his MBA.
Wow. He defended himself aggressively.
No,
That's
but
crazy.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I thought Green was a good manager.
Green was a good manager?
No, Frank.
I'm sorry, Frank Davis.
Frank
Well,
got
he
And
just
they-
got moved to a different division or something, it sounds like, right? But that's
No,
crazy.
but everybody knows what that means.
Well, hopefully that MBA education paid off for him.
probably not.
Too.
Right?
Well,
They should have just gone back to sales.
Frank got
And
promoted.
then he joined What's Her Bucket at the Potomac Waters.
Did Frank get promoted?
No, he moved laterally.
Laterally.
Laterally. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's something else I noticed in aerospace is when there's an incompetent manager, he gets promoted out. But
Oh.
it's always a promotion as opposed to a demotion or a lateral thing. It's like, yeah, in aerospace, it's really strange.
Wow.
Is this with the government, though?
Yeah, a lot of it, the government pays for it. Yeah.
The government is weird.
I don't like that ending. It's not very Hollywood-like.
I don't like it either.
Okay, so we'll end with, we can only speculate what would have occurred if Green had tried to help Davis work out the discrepancies and problems with forecasts. Perhaps both would have succeeded if they would have worked together. Thank you, everyone, for your time and participation.
Gavin.
Good job, everybody.
Oh,
Very good.
gosh.
Thanks, Gavin. Thanks, everyone.
You got it.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
All right, Monica, you'll post it, right? Just real quick.
Yeah, you know what? She chatted that her microphone is broken.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it stopped, not broken. It stopped working.
Okay.
Microphone and speakers, but she said she would, what did it say?
But
think
let
we
me
go
know
back
when
to
the
that.
meeting's over.
Yeah, let her
Yeah.
know when the meeting's over and she'll stop the recording and
Okay.
do it.
Here, I'll chat her right now.
Meeting is
Okay.
over.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay, bye. Have
All
a
right,
good
see
week.
ya.